26-year-old Jamie Markle is suing her ex-boyfriend, Jeff Peters, for medical bills resulting from several assaults. Jamie claims Jeff beat her up because he thought she was cheating.
Now, this is case number 41 on the calendar in the matter of Markle versus Peters.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Your complaint is that this gentleman, who used to be your boyfriend, assaulted you on 2 occasions.
Yes.
You want him to be responsible for those medical bills.
Yes,
the assaults took place around Christmas time of 2005, yes. And the second one, according to you, about a month later?
About a month, yeah.
In January. Now, I read Mr. Peters' response very carefully, and he says that he sort of acknowledges the first assault, but certainly not the second. And he says that the second time you had him falsely arrested, and the first time that you vandalized his car. So he's counterclaiming. So let's start out with Christmas.
Okay.
Christmas 2005, how long had you been a couple?
Well, we met online the beginning of August of '05.
Okay, so about
4 or 5 months, yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Well, everything was great. He was the best boyfriend I ever had.
Just give me Christmas.
Christmas came and went. It was about the 28th of December, and we had been broke up off and on for about a week. And I had gone with a friend of mine over to her house, and he thought that I went and cheated on him because I went to a poker party with some of my girlfriends. And he just didn't believe me. He wouldn't believe me. He wouldn't believe a word I said, but we were separated at the time. So even if I had done something, which I didn't, he wouldn't accept that. It's none of his business. Exactly, but he would not accept that. So we got into a big argument.
Where?
Well, he picked me up from work at 9 p.m.
And you went with him?
Yes.
Why?
Because he was my ride.
So even though you were no longer together as a couple, he was still picking you up from work?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was staying with him. I didn't have anywhere else to stay. So he picked me up from work, and on the way home, I could tell something wasn't right, so I just kind of kept to myself because we weren't boyfriend, girlfriend anymore. We were supposed to just be friends. So I figured if he had something to tell me, he would just tell me. And next thing I know, he's punching me in the left side of my face, and he just kept repeating that, I know you slept with another guy. I know you slept with another guy. He demanded to know the name and so on and so forth, and I had not done anything. I didn't have a name to give him.
So what happened?
So he took me to this cul-de-sac somewhere. It was on the way in between work and home. I was really disoriented from him hitting me. I didn't really know exactly where we were, but all I know is that it was completely dark. There was no street lights. He took me out of the car, grabbed me by my neck, and held me. Held me up and choked me so hard that I started to black out, and I just kind of gave up because I was screaming, and there was nobody around. There was no lights, no buildings, no nothing. So I guess when I stopped struggling, he let me go, and I fell to the ground, and he said, get in the car. So I got in the car, and he said, well, when we get home, you're not going to cause a scene, you're not going to do anything, or I'll shove a knife through your face so fast that nobody will hear you.
What happened when you got home?
When we got home, I told him that I was going to walk to the hospital. I didn't want him to take me anywhere, and he blocked the door. He wouldn't let me out. So I tried to go to the fire escape door, and he came up behind me, and at the entrance of the kitchen, he pushed me in my back. And he pushed me so hard that my hands hit the door, and then my face hit, and I had to have 5 stitches put in my chin. It split open right away. I didn't know what had happened until I got downstairs to my neighbor's house and I saw blood.
When you left the hospital, and I assumed that was the next day, where did you go?
I went with my mother.
You went home to your mother's house?
Yes.
When you fell, who took you to the hospital?
My mother.
And what did you do, Mr. Peters?
I went to the bar.
Yes.
And that's about it. I figured the police were on their way, so I boogied down the fire escape and ran up the street to the bar.
Well, how did her face get cut like that?
I'm not denying that she did fall into the door, but I was kind of trying to beat her to the door and hold it shut because she was screaming bloody murder, and I didn't want the cops to come. So I kicked her feet in a hurry.
You tripped her?
Yeah, basically.
That's what you say in your answer?
Yeah.
You tripped her?
And she fell right and hit the door and split her chin open. Once I seen blood and she started screaming, I figured the cops would be there real quick, so I basically bounced.
What a prince.
Thank you.
That didn't require an answer, smarty pants. And when you got home that evening from the bar is when you found your car vandalized.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any proof that Miss Markle did that?
No, my witness wouldn't come.
So that the answer is, Judge, I have no proof
Judge,
that she
I
did
have
it.
no proof. I'm assuming it didn't do that on its own, though.
Things happen. Never know who would do such a thing to a prince like you. Leaves his girlfriend bleeding in the house and takes off and goes to a bar. Things happen. So that part of your counterclaim is dismissed because you have no proof. Now, do you have medical bills from the hospital?
Yes, I have medical bills and I have police reports.
From the 28th?
I don't have a police report for the 28th. I didn't file a report for the 28th. I told him that if it happened again, I would press.
I don't want to hear it. It happened again. You should have gone to get him at the bar, taken him into custody, taken him to jail, let him cool off.
I understand.
Right?
That is what happened the second time.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I do not deny that I called her house and threatened to blow it up. That was not very cool, but, you know, I'd just been arrested twice in one day, and I was very upset.
And later today,
You still owe her $1,002, sir.
There were months where I gave her cash for rent.
That's too bad. That comes into the category of too bad.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Markle claims ex-boyfriend Jeff Peters assaulted her on several occasions. Jeff is countersuing for a false arrest and for vandalism to his car.
Okay, now you're at your mother's house, Miss Markle. Now we come to the genius in you. So tell me about what brought you to this man's company a month later in January.
Well, he kept calling my mother's house, and I would block every number he called from, and he would somehow go to another payphone or something and call me again. He kept apologizing over and over again, saying how sorry he was, how much he wanted to be my friend at least. And so I thought, okay, well, if we can be friends, then I would like to be his friend other than his
Why?
enemy. Because I didn't want to be his enemy, Your Honor.
You don't have to be anything. You know, I look out here in the gallery in this courtroom, and I see a lot of people, and I'm not their friend, right? I'm also not their enemy. I am their nothing.
Right.
You don't have to have him as an enemy if he's not your friend. You can have him as a nothing.
That's not an option with him, Your Honor.
Oh, it's an option, Rob. Trust me. He's going to get used to being a nothing. All right, so that's your next mistake.
Right.
You felt as if you wanted to have him as a friend.
Yes. So he took me to, he gave me a ride to get my taxes done. And on the way there, we were snipping at each other, and he started to wrap a T-shirt around his hand. And I said, "What's that for?" He said, "Because I'm going to hit you if you don't apologize."
Apologize for what?
I don't know, Your Honor. I don't know. So
What did you want her to apologize for, Mr. Peters?
For being manic and bipolar?
So you wanted her to apologize for being manic and bipolar?
Yes. She's being particularly manic that day.
Okay, so that's why you wanted her to apologize. Just wanted to know. Go ahead.
So I apologized, so I didn't get hit, pretty much.
So you said sorry.
I said, "I'm sorry. Genuinely, I apologize. I don't know what I'm apologizing for, but I do."
And
So I really don't remember what exactly happened next, but I do know that in result of that, he pulled into a parking garage and proceeded to hit me in the side of my face again.
It's a lie.
And so we got to the tax place, and I walked in, and there
what
was
did you say when he hit you?
I was like, "Please stop." I begged him to stop. And so we went ahead and went to the tax gallery, and
Why did you go with him to the tax gallery?
because I wanted to have some way to get a hold of the police.
Okay.
Because as of that moment, I was in a parking garage.
Okay.
And I
so
didn't
you
want
went
to
with
get
him to the
left
tax
there.
people.
So I went inside, and I saw a young lady on her cell phone, and I mouthed, "Help me." And I had bruises, all
like
over
to see
my
them.
face. So she went outside and called the police. This is
I'd like to see the police report.
the police reports. There's one for harassment as well. He called my mother's house that night when he got out of jail and threatened to kill me, her, my 10-year-old niece, and blow the house up.
Okay. Now, Mr. Peters, we've already established that you believed, at least, that the plaintiff was responsible for vandalizing your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And that you had, in fact, assaulted her on December 28th.
Stripped her, yes.
The issue is whether you assaulted her again on January 31st. And that incident you deny. So you want to tell me, please, what happened and why you contacted her after you believed she vandalized your car?
Time had gone by, and I had certain needs.
Like what?
physical needs. And so I started calling her and sweet talking her, and everything was fine for a couple weeks. And we were seeing each other on and off. And that particular day was a really bad day. Right before this tax incident, I was arrested in another part of the city.
For what?
A guy pulled a knife on me, and I tried to run him over in my car.
Just a minute. You mean a stranger pulled a knife on you
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
tried to run him over?
Yes, ma'am.
Explain that to me, sir.
He just was basically a little case of road rage in the parking lot, and I told him F you, and he pulls out a big knife, and I slammed it in reverse, and I was going to run him over. I did it right in front of an undercover cop, and next thing I know, I'm cuffed and stuffed, and they took me down and booked me, and then released me, and she was nitpicking me, and as we were going, we started, fighting back and forth, and she started pulling my hair, and we were both kind of going at it.
Why?
Shh. Don't speak.
And it basically came to blows at the parking garage right down the street from the tax place. And, next thing I know, I thought it was over. I was like, okay, we got that over system, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette, and 4 police cars pull up with their guns drawn, obviously thinking I kidnapped her. And I was very, very upset about that. I do not deny that I called her house and threatened to blow it up. I apologize about that. It was not very cool, but, I'd just been arrested twice in one day, and I was very, very upset.
Mr. Peters, you told the police on that day that the marks on the plaintiff's face was from a week ago when you assaulted her in Kansas.
Yeah, it was. I might have said that.
Well, that's what you said.
I was trying to get out of.
You said that's what you said. So you were trying to get out of it, and so you lied to the police.
Yes.
Now, when you lied to the police, did you lie to them in the same affect that you're talking to me?
No, not really.
Well, did you lie to them, sir, with the affect of "please don't believe me"?
No, I pretty much knew the jig was up. And
No, I'm asking you a question, sir. I'm asking you a question how one tells when you're telling the truth and when you're lying.
I have no idea. I generally speak the truth.
Well, you lied to the police and...
That's the police. I'll lie to the police any day of the week.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've already been shot.
Well-
Stabbed 3 times.
Doesn't that tell you something?
It's bad karma.
That's not bad karma, sir.
And later today,
When 2 people decide to play house together,
Yes.
work out a financial arrangement that ultimately will not involve the courts.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Markle claims ex-boyfriend Jeff Peters assaulted her on several occasions. Jeff is countersuing for a false arrest and for vandalism to his car.
You think you have some psychological problems, Mr. Peters? That was a question. It usually requires an answer.
I didn't hear the question part.
I
of it.
said, do you think you have psychological
I
problems,
have an
Mr.
anger
Peters?
problem. So
You have an
yeah.
anger. Okay. Well, that's a good start, sir. That's a good start. What are you doing to address those problems?
Nothing.
That's not smart. You're 31 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody's going to kill you, or you're going to kill them.
I've already been shot.
Well-
Stabbed 3 times.
But, Mr. Peters, doesn't that tell you something about a deficiency that you have?
It's bad karma.
That's not bad karma, sir. Karma doesn't follow you around, Mr. Peters.
Sure it does.
No, it doesn't, sir. People create their own opportunities and people create their own situations. So you have a choice, Mr. Peters. Your choice is to either wind up in some alley because you've ticked off the wrong person and somebody is going to shoot you, and this time they're going to have better aim, or stab you and going to have a long enough knife to do some real damage, permanent damage, or you'll do it to somebody else, which will end up by you spending a substantial part of your life in prison. So, I mean, you have an opportunity to try to rectify that before it gets any worse. Miss Markle, listen to me, my dear. Is there something wrong with your mind?
No, not that I know of.
Well, he's bad news. Very, very, very bad news. And there comes a point where women have to understand that just being a bad boy is not attractive.
I understand.
Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
I certainly hope so, madam. I don't have the confidence that I wish I had in your judgment. You can either have a happy life or you can continue to be a bum magnet. So, choice is yours. Now, you're asking for $3,000 for these 2 assaults.
This is the second medical bill.
I don't need the second medical bill. I believe that he assaulted you. He acknowledges he assaulted you on one occasion, reluctantly acknowledges that he assaulted you on one occasion. There's no question he assaulted you on the second occasion. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just man bashing, plain and simple.
That was the first I'd ever seen of his temper.
I've dated a lot of psychos.
I don't want to talk to him ever again. I don't want to see him.
Maria Prieto is suing her son's former friend, 20-year-old James Alfter, for rent and for starting a fire in her home. Maria claims James was in the process of growing marijuana.
Order. All rise. Yes, case number 393 on the calendar in the matter of Prieto versus Alfter. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Prieto, you rented a house to the defendant.
That's correct.
And it is your claim that he is responsible for a fire in your home that resulted in damage. Some of the damage was covered by insurance, but a great deal of it was not covered by insurance, and you want him to pay the balance.
That's correct.
Your out-of-pocket expenses. Mr. Alfter? Mm-hmm. Is that the way you pronounce your name?
Yes, ma'am.
You look petrified. Are you scared of me?
No.
You should be.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mr. Alfter says that your homeowner's insurance should have covered whatever losses there were. He wasn't doing anything wrong, and it was just an accident. That's your defense.
Yes.
Your Honor, I disagree.
Just. How old are you, sir?
20.
When did you move out of your home?
I've been on my own since I was about 18.
And how have you been taking care of yourself?
I work.
For whom?
Family business.
What kind of business?
Construction. I do concrete work.
Whose business is it?
It's my grandfather's.
Who else works there?
The crew, my dad, my brothers.
So it's a big business?
Yeah.
It's a lucrative business?
Yeah.
How much? Yes, try yes.
Yes.
How much do you get paid?
$30 an hour.
And you work 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week?
40-hour weeks.
So you've got money in the bank?
I'm all right.
What?
Said I'm all right. Yes.
You have a car?
Yes.
You look like you're in good shape. Do you work out?
Yes.
You work out at home or in a gym?
The gym.
You have a gym membership?
Yes.
I ask you all these questions, sir, because I'm trying to find out a little bit about you. Because this complaint says, Mr. Alfter, that the fire that started in Miss Prieto's house, on what date?
September the 12th.
And what date did he move into the house?
He moved in July 1st.
Was started because in your bedroom, right?
In master bedroom, correct.
People usually sleep in the master bedroom, right?
Yes.
How many bedrooms were there in the house?
5.
How many people were living in the house?
Just 2.
You and who else?
Me and my roommate.
Male or female?
Male.
So that those were 2 bedrooms. You don't spend the night with your roommate, right? You each have your own bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But I guess you didn't want you or your roommate to get the master bedrooms because then it would be unequal, so that you each stayed in other bedrooms.
Yes.
And you were using your master bedroom to grow marijuana. You actually hadn't brought in the plants yet, according to the complaint and the answer, but it was all set up with a whole bunch of lights, right?
Yes, there's equipment.
I mean, you weren't planning on shooting a film in there, were you?
No.
You were going to grow marijuana.
Yes.
What were you going to do with it when you grew it?
Well, I have anxiety, and I was going to try to get my card, cannabis card.
You have anxiety?
Yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Your parents are alive?
Yes.
Did they know you were coming here today?
Yes.
Did they know that 10 million people were going to be watching you today?
Yes.
Did they offer you any warnings, sir?
Yes.
And I know that it's not relevant to the case, but I, because I am a mother, would like to know what your parents said to you.
They told me I better learn my lesson.
Both of them.
Yes.
Sounds like my kind of people. Who do you expect to pay for these damages that weren't covered by Miss Prieto's insurance as a result of your lunacy in trying to start a marijuana farm in her house?
Myself.
Right. So why didn't you just pay her, sir? Why did you force her to come here? You know, I mean, I know that she looks lovely and she appears to be a very nice lady, but why didn't you just say, I'm really sorry, I acted like an idiot, I'm 20 years old, I'm not fully grown up yet, you know, just help me out here. It'll never happen again. I'm going to cut my hair so I can see, you know, all of those things.
The sum, that amount that she wanted was pretty high. I thought the insurance would have covered it. But I was going to pay the deductible.
Yeah, but the insurance company didn't, for instance, pay for all the landscaping around the house that was singed.
But when I moved in the house, the landscaping wasn't too caught up.
May not have been too caught up. What about the fact that you didn't have the use of her house for a while?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, that's my fault.
So who should pay for that?
Myself.
Yes, ma'am. Can I see the bills, please?
Sure. And I have pictures also.
Should have listened to your parents, Mr. After. Father's a pretty tough guy?
Yeah.
Are you using your real name today, sir?
Yes.
Is your father's last name the same as yours?
Yes.
Look what you did to her house. Bird, look what he did to her house. You planned on smoking an awful lot of weed, sir, for your anxiety. Why don't you go to a therapist for your anxiety?
I don't know.
Well, I would try a therapist before I would start farming again.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's very anxious because he's not smart. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Say sorry.
Sorry.
Not to me.
And later today,
Your dog wasn't doing anything terrible, wasn't chewing off somebody's leg, but was taking a sunbath on her car.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Maria Prieto claims her son's former friend, James Alfter, started a fire in her home while trying to grow marijuana.
Who helped you with all this, sir?
I did it myself.
What about your roommate?
No, well, he helped a little bit.
Was he going to be your partner?
No.
What does he do for a living?
He works.
For whom?
He does construction, too.
For your father?
No.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Please.
Okay, as far as all that equipment he purchased, and it was worth over supposedly $6,000, and he didn't have money to pay the rent. So he had money to go out there and buy all that, plus, you know, start his little lab thing. But on the other hand, he's making $30 an hour, and he could have just stepped up to the plate and said, I'm going to pay you. Even payments. I said, can you make payments? And he's like, yeah, I will. Never followed through.
He's very anxious because he's not smart. And unless he gets smarter, he's going to remain anxious. Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Say sorry.
Sorry.
Not to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Judge him for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Actually, I feel that he should be liable for more. And I don't think the insurance company should have to pay for his ignorance.
I'm just really sorry for what I did to her, causing the problems I did.
I was at the doctor's office, and my girlfriend called me and told me that my house was on fire.
I smelled some burning, so I checked in my attic and I seen some smoke up there.
When I got there, the whole street was blocked.
So I put water on the spot that had smoke.
We had detectives, police officers, everybody.
Tried to go back to sleep and it still kind of smelled like smoke, so I was like, all right, well, I'll just go home to my parents' house and I'll stay the night there.
The room itself, when I walked in, it wasn't just the fire damage, it's just the way he set everything up. It was ridiculous.
My mom wakes me up at about 11 in the morning. The house was on the news and news said it was a meth lab.
Even though I did my homework, I did credit checks, I did everything, nowadays it's really hard to trust anybody.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Beverly versus Mayo. Step forward.
Pamela Beverly is suing the mother of her daughter's schoolmate, Rhonda Mayo, for medical bills and pain and suffering. Pamela claims 12-year-old Jessica Mayo injured her daughter at school.
Miss Beverly, this case really involves your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there when this incident happened, but it is your claim that the defendant's daughter injured your daughter. You want her to pay the medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
But you weren't there. You don't know. Let's have the girls up and the mom seated, please. Tell me your name.
Crystal Beverly.
How old are you, Crystal?
13. Jessica May, I'm 12 years old.
Okay, Crystal, why don't you tell me when this happened? What date?
I think March 27th.
Were you friends?
Yes.
How long have you been friends?
Since the first day of school.
So since September?
Yes.
And this was March, so you've been friends for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
You like each other.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what happened.
We were walking down to the bus for dismissal, and when we were stopping off the sidewalk, she had booty bumped me, and I fell.
Now, what is a booty bump?
It's when you bump somebody with your butt, you go like this.
Just like that?
Yes, except for she did it harder, and then that caused me to fall.
Show me.
We were walking, and then when I stepped down from the sidewalk, she went like that, and I fell. And then she walked over to the sign that said Crittenton, and I laid there crying, and then one of my other friends came up to school and helped me get to the bus.
That's okay. And you had to have surgery on your kneecap?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's hear your version of what happened.
We were coming down the stairs of the school in the afternoon. We were going to the bus stop. Then I gave her a booty bump, and we were still talking and laughing and walking. Then she tripped over her own footstep.
That's not true.
So you're telling me that you gave her a booty bump?
Yes.
You went like that?
Yes.
You weren't angry with her?
No.
And you continued to talk?
Yes, we were still talking and laughing and walking.
And it was later that she fell?
Yes, and she fell over her own foot.
Would you step up, please? Miss Beverly, I want you to tell me the exact conversation you had with your daughter when she got home.
It was on March the 24th, Your Honor, and she told me that they were walking to the bus stop and Jessica booty bumped her and she fell on her knee. I thought it was just a bad sprain, so I didn't take her to the emergency room until the day after.
You have the medical report, please?
Just the medical report.
What were your unreimbursed medical expenses?
It was $1,083.
All right, Miss Mayor, why don't you stand up with your daughter?
Your Honor, may I say something else?
Yes.
The day after I came from the emergency room, before I spoke to Miss Mayo, I spoke to Jessica to see were the stories the same. Jessica told me the exact same thing. She booty bumped Crystal and she fell and hurt her knee.
Is that right?
That's not true.
Okay. You have anything you want to say to me?
Yes, ma'am. When Jessica had told me that her and Crystal were playing at the bus stop and that Crystal had fallen, I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." I didn't know how serious it was until after Mrs. Beverly spoke with me on the phone. And she did tell me that Jessica and Crystal were playing and Crystal fell.
Well, they were. There's no question in my mind that your daughter did not intend to cause injury to her friend, right?
Right.
But sometimes when you fool around, that happens. I mean, there's no issue that your daughter did not intentionally harm Miss Mayo's little girl. But they were fooling around, and she gave her a
tap. Yes, a bump.
And she fell. And she didn't fall afterwards. She's making up. She fell then. She didn't mean to hurt her. It wasn't an intentional thing. It was, as Crystal said when she first started, an accident. That's the way you described it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you lost your balance when she gave you that push.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay. That, Miss Mayo, suggests to me that you should be more than willing to contribute to the unreimbursed medical expenses that your daughter's fooling around caused. Because but for the fact that she gave her a nudge, she would not have tripped and fallen, and she would not have had this injury. Certainly, you are not entitled to pain and suffering, Miss Beverly, from the defendant, because I don't believe that this was an intentional act. I think that these two young girls were friends. I believe that in all probability, your daughter has done this booty bumping ever to other people.
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunately, nobody got hurt. Do you understand, Miss Beverly?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,083. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, they were friends and they booty bumped each other in the past.
Kids play. They play.
So I do think they were just playing around.
And sometimes accidents happen.
Yes, I did feel bad when she did get hurt.
It rains when it get cold outside, but other than that, I'm okay.
I did not mean to hurt her.
Miller is suing former daughter-in-law, Kelly Hood, for the cost to care for her child. Marianne claims she's had custody of her grandson for the last 2 years.
Order. All rise. That's case number 467 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Hood. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Miss Miller, this is your former daughter-in-law who is married to your son. They have 3 children together.
Yes.
How long have you been divorced?
Since 1992.
And you are remarried?
Yes.
There came a time when your former daughter-in-law and her husband were having some difficulty, and the 3 children came to live with you. One of the children remained with you. Is this
This
the
is
young man?
Jeremy, my grandson.
He's now 18?
Correct.
But he's been with you since he's 16. And it is your complaint that during that time, Miss Hood was receiving support from your son for his son.
Yes.
And was not sending that support to you.
Correct.
So you're suing for that support, and also what you believe is her obligation to send some support herself for
Yes.
her child. Ms. Hood says that the meager amount of money that your son was sending to support his 3 children hardly supported one child, and that there was never an agreement with you that she would send support. She quite frankly thinks that it's absurd that you should come to court now and ask for what is $18 a week that your son was sending for his son's support.
Right.
Where is your son?
My son is there, Trevor.
That would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, stand up next to your mother, please. Your last name is?
Warman.
How many children do you have, sir?
3 by my ex-wife.
No, all together.
4.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a security guard.
How old are your children?
18, 17, 16, and 8.
Are you remarried?
No, ma'am.
Does the 8-year-old child live with you?
No.
Do you support the 8-year-old child?
Yes.
How much?
Right now we're going to court, and I'm in the process of getting medical insurance for her
So the answer would be nothing.
right now.
And how much do you send for your 16-year-old?
$69 per month.
Or $16 per week? That's what it comes down to. Or slightly more than $2 a day for your 16-year-old, right?
Okay.
Mr. Warman, I've just done the math on my trusty calculator because I'm not much of a mathematician.
He not only gives him money, but he also helps him. He buys them things. I mean, that's just not cut and dry. He bought sheets for their beds, but she didn't supply for their children's bed. He bought sheets for the beds because they didn't have any.
Oh, I'm going to make him Father of the Year.
No, but I'm saying he does do other things. He doesn't just give the support. He does other things. He sees his children.
Miss Miller.
I disagree.
How many children did you raise?
4.
And who supported your children when they were growing up?
My husband's and
what
myself.
kind of work did he do?
Okay, I had 2 husbands. Okay, the first one worked at the post office, and my current husband works at a warehouse.
Is your former husband the father of the children?
The former husband, yes.
The former husband, the one who was a postal worker?
Yes. And then I had another husband in between, and that was the other 2 kids. 2 children, 2 children. Well, it's like her. She.
No, don't point to her.
Okay, she's been married 3 times,
don't
too.
Point to, I'm not interested in her. I'm on your team now.
Okay.
Miss Warman, let's talk about how many people live in your house?
4.
Who are they?
My oldest son and Jeremy, and my husband and myself.
You have your own home?
Yes.
You have a mortgage?
Yes.
What are the mortgage payments?
$1,100.
So you would say $1,100 a month. Okay, so that would be approximately for the 4 people, $275 a month towards the mortgage, right?
Yes.
How much would you say you spend for food for the month?
I spend a good $600 to $800 a month.
So another $200 a month for each of the adults?
Yes.
So now we're up to $475, just for food and the roof.
Right.
We're not talking about clothes or anything else. How can you justify, madam, $18 a week that your son is sending support for his children as coming anywhere near the kind of support that I'm speaking, that a child needs, and I'm not talking about buying pillowcases.
Right.
We're talking about support, real support. Now, if your son has a marginal job and can't afford anymore, fine. That's all he can afford. He wasn't too swift after not being able to support these 3 children. He went out and made another one, right?
Right.
You would say that that's true.
Yes.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 grown children.
No more.
No more.
At least she knew when she had enough. Do you understand, Miss Miller?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here we have $475 to just put a roof over their heads and to feed them.
I don't make that money. My husband makes money, and he's not his blood grandfather.
I understand that. I'm talking about your son.
Right. And that's what the court ordered him to pay was the $18.
And I want you to understand that that is ridiculous.
That could be. But
ridiculous.
Yes, it is. It's not enough.
$243 a month.
But the thing
It's
is,
ridiculous.
right. But she doesn't have any children in her house now.
She should, just a second, she should have been paying support for her child who was living with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is...
It's very little.
All I'm saying is he's not blameless.
No.
And you should have, before you look towards a stranger, because she's a stranger to you, Before you look to a stranger, you should have said to your son, who works a security job, get 2 jobs.
Right. And every time I needed something for Jeremy or Jeremy needs something, he asks his father, and his father gives him money for this and that. He has.
I'm not talking about giving his money
I
for
know.
this and that. I'm talking about helping you pay the $475 a month that you say it takes to support a child.
Yes, more than that.
Believe me, it's more than that. It's just the roof and the food. But your first vision should not be to her. Your first vision should be to him.
That's why I go to him when we need extra things.
Good.
I don't go to her.
Now, what you want from her is the $18 a week she was receiving while he was in your care. Why didn't you send that to her, Mrs. Hood?
I was supporting my son. I picked him up. I took him places. I gave him money for things.
You're supposed to do that. You're his mother.
But that's not true, Your Honor.
I don't want to hear from you, sir. When I hear any kind of substantial contribution to your children's support, I will listen to you. But right now, I didn't hear any of that from your mother. I heard you took them and got them things that they needed. Not saying to your mother, here is the $475 a month that it takes to put a roof over his head and feed him. I'm going to give that to you, and then we'll worry about everything else. So you have to be quiet.
Would you like me to sit down?
No, you can stand next to your mother.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What kind of work do you do now?
I will be a flight attendant.
So the answer is you do not work now.
Because I lost my job because of her.
Is anything your fault? I want to know if anything's your fault.
And later today,
now she has the title free and clear. Do you want the car or nothing? Do you want the car or nothing?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marianne Miller says ex-daughter-in-law Kelly Hood owes for the cost to support her son. Marianne claims Kelly is a deadbeat mom.
You're supposed to take him and buy him things, madam.
Well, I know that. And I also give her support at the very beginning. Gave her the child support card. We get a little child support card.
$40.
Shh. And it was misused, and the child support agency told me that I wasn't supposed to give it to her because I still had custody of him.
I don't know what you mean. You gave her the child support card. What does that mean?
That's where the child support comes on a little, like, credit card instead of sending you a check in the mail. So I give it to her to help support, and I was told I wasn't supposed to do that because I have custody of him.
Well, that's ridiculous, Miss Hood. You may have legal custody on a piece of paper, but you weren't putting food in his mouth 3 times a day. So that's ridiculous. Why did you even ask somebody? If you had a card, if what they do is they don't give you the money, but they give you a card, and it's really taken off of the card, why did you even have a discussion with anybody about that? His grandmother had physical custody of him. His father was sending $18 a week support. As minimal as it is, it should have been sent to his grandmother.
At that time, I had all 3 kids.
I'm speaking. This is not what we're talking about, 3 children. We're only talking about 1. So the question is?
Well, the fact about it is this is a divorce decree that I've had custody of the kids ever since.
What difference does it make?
That he abandoned. He denied his parental rights that I have here.
Listen to me. Let us not go back in history.
And then this...
Let's look at me. Let's not go back in history. This young man went to live with his grandmother 2 years ago when he was 16. I don't want to hear about when he was 2 or 5 or 7 or 9 or 11 or 13. He went to live with his grandmother at your request when he was 16, and he has remained there. Now, she could have pursued support against you while he was there. She did not. And I'm not entertaining that. I'm not entertaining that part of her claim. Support against you personally. I just want to know is that you have any valid reason why you didn't turn over the support that you were receiving for him from his father to his grandmother.
Because she, like I said, she had misused it, and then the power of attorney
How
says
did she
that it doesn't
misuse?
have...
Just a second. How did she misuse the $18 a week?
Buying dinner for the family and cigarettes for him.
No, I didn't.
Shh. Buying dinner for the family on $18 a week? That's ridiculous, Miss Hood. What kind of work do you do?
I did have a job as shipping and receiving.
Is right now what you're saying to me? I don't care what you did in the past. What kind of work do you do now?
I will be a flight attendant.
So the answer is you do not work now?
Because I lost my job because of her.
Is anything your fault? I want to know if anything's your fault. Now, something must have happened recently that got your dander up. You want to tell me what it is?
Yes. Back in November, her current husband choked one of my grandchildren, and the police were called.
Which grandchild?
Joshua, his brother.
His brother. And they went to court.
Not true, Your Honor.
Don't interrupt her. Go ahead.
Paperwork on this. He choked the child, and Jeremy told his mother that he will not speak to her again if he accepts that man back in the house after he choked his brother. Jeremy's definitely afraid of her ex-husband. That's why he's living with me. She took him back in the house. Joshua and Jeremy went to live with his father. She went to court and had child support doubled, and she has none of the children living with her. And that kind of got my goat.
Got it. Well, we'll get my goat, too. Is the money still coming out of your check?
Yes, ma'am, every month, every
And
week.
the children are living with you?
Yes.
When did you go back to court?
I'm going to court February the 23rd for custody. I've got the motions filed in court to get him in school. I got him in school this month.
How old are the children?
16 and 15.
Well, if the children want to live with you, that's where they're going to live. Because at this age.
Because they don't want to listen to me.
Excuse me?
That's because they do not want to listen to me, and they filled their heads with stuff.
Listen to me. For whatever reason, 15-year-old and a 16-year-old are going to make judgments, and the court's going to assign them a lawyer. And if the lawyer says, my clients want to live with their father, and unless somebody can establish that it would place them in a neglectful situation, that's where they're going to live. You owe her the $18 a week that you've been receiving from her son.
Even though he's back in arrears of child support of $2,000 that he's owed me for years.
Just a second.
And I've raised the kids all by myself without him even being in there.
Just a second. Listen to me very carefully. If he took custody of your son and he was in arrears in child support, we would not be having this discussion. We are having this discussion because his mother took custody of your son, and his mother supported him. While you were receiving current support, not a lot, little bit, you were receiving current support for him, and you cannot do that. You really cannot do that. You should have sent that money each and every week to her and said, I know it's not much. It's all that your son gives me for his support. As little as it is, I'm giving it to you to defray his expenses. You got it?
As she was so inspired about support, why'd she cash in my children's bonds that were supposed to be for their education?
But
to help
Let her finish. Don't interrupt.
to get my ex-husband furniture, a stereo system with surround sound, a $300 chair, if she's so concerned about support.
That has nothing to do with you.
May I?
If she, listen to me. If she wanted to take the $18 a week and blow it when you gave her the $18 a week and she went and took the $18 and put it in a Goodwill box, that's her prerogative. We're not saying that the money that you received for this child's support was enough to support him. It was not. It wasn't enough to keep him in orange juice. But it belonged to her, not to you, because you were not fulfilling your custodial responsibility by maintaining a home for him, which is the moral reason why you receive support. You were not maintaining a home for him. His grandmother was. So his grandmother was spending substantially more than $18 a week to support him. You had the obligation of forwarding that money to her. There's no discussion about it. You got the money, you keep it for a month, and you say, here's $18 times 4.3. I'm sending it to you by the month rather than by the week because it's just too much trouble, because I know you've been taking good care of him. And I assume if she wasn't taking good care of him, you would not have permitted him to stay there as his mother. Okay. Now, Miss Miller.
Yes.
What she owes you for the child support is $1,028, because that's the support that you should have forwarded to her for the 2 years that this child was in her custody. That's all. Thank you. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You know, the Trevor, the dad, you know, he's a high school dropout. He just wished he was like me.
Choked my son.
I mean, this guy is just so jealous of me.
He's threatened this boy right here.
I never laid any fingers on his kids. No, I did not.
How can a grown man threaten a child and choke a 15-year-old?
It's absolutely bogus. He's nothing. He's just desperate.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Solara versus Lara, step forward, please.
27-year-old Angela Solura is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Freddie Lara, for a loan to restore his Mustang. Freddie claims Angela paid the bill without consulting him.
Mr. Lara, it is your claim that the defendant, who is an old boyfriend of yours, owes you some money.
Correct.
For a loan that you made to him. And the purpose of the loan was to have an old car fixed.
Yes.
This was a specialty car?
It's just, it's going to be a classic soon. It's just a car I always wanted
Me
to fix
too.
up.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Lara?
I clean windows on high rises.
That's a pretty dangerous job.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Like 7, 8 years now.
Make a good living?
Yeah, except when they lay you off.
Well, you don't do it when it's windy or snowing or raining.
Right.
How much do you make a year?
Anywhere from 48 to 68,000 a year.
And how many people do you support?
Just myself.
What kind of car is this that you have?
It's a 1986 Ford Mustang GT.
And your age, sir?
24 now.
Got a lot of money in the bank?
No, unfortunately.
Do you own a home?
No, I'm working on it. I'm renting an apartment for now.
Well, you make a lot of money. What do you do with all your money?
It's expensive to live in New York.
You don't put any money away?
No, I try. Not really.
You need a good woman, sir, to help you out. You also have a claim for harassment. It is your claim that he's been making harassing phone calls to you, and it's because you believe it's because you confronted his now girlfriend and told her that he was still involved with you.
She did not know about the payments. She never knew. He began dating her a week after we broke up, and she just found out about our involvement beginning of January of this year.
How did she find out?
She found a text message in his phone.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir, because she was harassing.
She was harassing for what?
Yeah, she was mad about the breakup, so she
She
couldn't
mad
leave
about
me
the
alone.
breakup, or did she ask you for money?
She was harassing me about everything.
Was money involved?
Yes.
These are not hard questions, sir. Now, tell me about this loan.
We were dating for about a year, and within that time, he needed some major repair work done on the car. It was a car that both of us were using for transportation, or rather him. I don't drive. I don't have a license.
So he was driving you around?
Yes. I used to live with him, and where we live, you cannot get around unless you have a car.
How long did you live together?
About 9 months.
Where were you living at the time? In your apartment?
Staying with my mom at the time.
So how were you living together?
She
Where did
allowed-
you live together?
In his bedroom.
In his mother's house?
In his mother's house.
Just a second. In his mother's house. So neither one of you were paying any rent?
I did I tried to give them money as much as I could.
Don't tell me tried. I'm not interested in your trying. So you weren't paying any rent? And you weren't paying any rent?
We were, when we could.
Well, sir, if you make $50,000 a year, it seems to me you could help out with your own rent. What does your mother do for a living?
She's a stay-at-home mom.
Well, how does she support herself?
Her boyfriend.
And she had the two of you living there?
Yes, correct.
Tell me about the loan.
He needed some major repair work done on the car. The car was not running, and he asked if he could use my credit card because I don't have any money except for my credit card, and he told me he would pay me back. So I lent him the credit card, and within that time, he was making payments to me weekly.
To you or to the credit card?
He was giving them to me, and I was paying the credit card because the credit card was in my name.
How much was he giving you?
Anywhere from $100 to $200 a week.
Tell me when you actually put the bill on your credit card. What was the date?
Between June and July, 7 transactions were put on the credit card in the amount of about $5,000.
I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Who had physical possession of the credit card?
I did.
So how would this money be placed on the credit card?
A few times I went with him to use the credit card, and there were a few times where I just gave him the card. And I never used the credit card, Your Honor, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 times. It was all of the car repairs.
Who has the car now?
It's his car. He has it.
When did you break up?
August 26th of 2006.
So shortly after the car was taken
Yes.
care of. Now, Mr. Lara, I read your answer. Your answer says that you had made an arrangement with the place that was fixing your car, that you were going to pay them out.
Yes.
And she took it upon herself to go in with a credit card and pay the bill. But that's not true, because there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different times that the credit card was used. It was more than one time, so you must have known about it.
Yes, I did.
And did you say, don't do it because I'm going to pay them
Absolutely.
out?
I insisted that she didn't do it.
Each time you said, don't do it because I'm going to pay them out.
She said it's something we both need, so...
I believe that. No, I believe that. Listen to me, Mr. Lara. I believe that she said to you, listen, I use the car, because she did use the car. So she said, we're both using the car, so I'm going to pay for it. Instead of paying them, pay me. And she says that you were giving her money, Mr. Lara.
Yeah, I felt bad. I didn't want her to spend so much for
Now,
a gift.
you felt bad when you were living together?
Yes.
Speak up!
Yes.
Scared to death of me or what? Are you always this low energy, sir?
Yes.
It's very hard to get excited with you, Mr. Lara. Mr. Lara, I want you to pay careful attention to all my words, sir. While you were living together, you felt badly about what she spent on the car, on your car, so you were giving her money.
Yes.
After you broke up, you stopped feeling badly, so you stopped giving her money. Is that what you're telling me?
She kept on harassing.
No, don't tell me her. I don't want to hear harassing. I want to hear, while you were living together and using the car together, listen, I want you to follow the logic of this. You were paying her while you were together and using the car together, right?
Yes.
After you broke up with her and started to see your new girlfriend and she wasn't using the car anymore with you, you didn't feel badly anymore, so you stopped giving her money.
Well, I didn't want it to interfere with my relationship. She kept harassing me because things with her, who she was trying to get with, wasn't going well, so I think she's suing me because of the breakup.
I don't give a rat's behind what you think. I asked you a very simple question, and you understand my question, because I don't think there's total vacancy between your ears, sir. While you were together and both using it, you paid her for laying out the money. When you were no longer together and she wasn't using the car, you stopped paying her. That's what you're telling me. That's objective, not what you thought, what you felt, but that's what happened. Doesn't that sound stupid to you?
No, because it was a gift.
Mr. Lara, I know that you have this word gift in your mind, but what you did in paying her belies the fact that it was a gift, sir. You paid her for the credit card. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars, according to her, because she's only suing you for what she claims is the balance, which is $3,400. And the total was close to $5,000 to fix the car. So you paid her a lot of money to pay down the credit card. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
Listen, was he more exciting when you were together?
He had his moments.
Few and far between.
He has a problem with confrontation, Your Honor.
He has a problem with confrontation?
Yes.
Oh, and I love confrontation. That's why we don't get along. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,400. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may step out.
Changed my number. Somehow she called my mom and got my new number.
He is correct. I was able to get his new phone number.
She kept on calling me and leaving me text messages.
It was to get my money back. That was it.
We split up, and she doesn't find it was a good enough reason for a breakup.
That was in August. I've had time to get over it.
I'm glad it's over.
I'm very happy I can put a closure on this now.
26-year-old Kimberly Rich is suing her ex-boyfriend, Carl Wegener, for daycare fees, his share of a loan, and unpaid household bills.
Now it's case number 28 on the calendar in the matter of Rich versus Wegener. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Rich, you and the defendant have 2 children together, and it is
Yes,
your
ma'am.
claim that while you were living in California, utilities and daycare expenses and stuff were in your name. Financially, things were not going well. You had to borrow money from a friend to get your car back, which was being repossessed. And when you separated, you claimed that Mr. Wegener promised to pay half of all of these bills, including the car loan, including half of daycare expenses where there was an outstanding balance, and he has not paid.
Right.
And Mr. Wegener says that you stopped working sometime well before you moved back to Massachusetts. He was the only person working in the household. He was staying home, either taking care of 1 child or 2 children, I don't know.
It was 1 child.
One
I was
child.
pregnant at the time.
And you were pregnant, and he was the only one working, and if you mismanaged the money and didn't pay those bills, that's not his problem or his fault. Mr. Wegener says he pays $600 a month in child support for his 2 children, and that's the extent of his obligation.
Your Honor, there is no court-ordered child support right now.
He didn't say there was a court order. He said he pays
And
child
it's not-
support in the amount of
it's-
$600
It's
a
not
month.
every month either.
Well, you should have a child support order.
I'm working on that right now, ma'am.
So he's paying you child support without an order.
Child support on and off, yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
But that has nothing to do with our utilities. We were together for 3 years. We share 2 children together. I have an 8-week-old and a 20-month-old. And our 20-month-old was in daycare at the time when we both were working.
Mm-hmm.
A total of $2,360 in daycare expenses have been incurred. He agreed to pay that back. He even agreed to the daycare provider that he would. And now I owe it, and she's taken me to court for it. But it was for our daughter. And as far as the car loan goes, when my car got repossessed, we were both still working. And we lived 30 minutes away from our jobs. And if we didn't have a car, we would both get fired because we couldn't get to work. And that's when our mutual friend, had stepped in to lend us $1,500.
Who asked for the loan?
Both of us did.
Well, tell me how that came about.
We have a mutual friend that when we asked her, we don't know what we're going to do. We're going to get repossessed. She's like, well, I can lend you the money, but you have to pay me back. I do have a promissory note to her and a receipt for the $1,500.
Who signed the promissory note?
Promissory, just her. She just stated in the receipt. Just
It's not a promissory note. That's a receipt for receiving the money. Who's paid her back?
No one has paid her back, and she has stated in here that no one has paid her back. I can prove that he was on the car with me and that we haven't paid her back. It's not fair that she hasn't gotten her money back, and she's getting upset, and she wants to take me to small claims for it. It was our car. It was both of our car. We used it. And actually, after I lost my job, he used it primarily.
Where is the car now?
It's gone. When we moved out to California, it was dead. The car had troubles. And
how long ago are we talking about?
We moved out to California in August of 2005. That's when we left the car.
So you left the car in Massachusetts?
Yes.
What else, Miss Rich?
Well, we incurred bills together while we were living together. And when we broke up, we were fighting all the time. We were arguing all the time. It was not a good situation for the kids. I was 7 months pregnant, and it just wasn't a good situation altogether. I had left because all we did was fight. And when I left, he agreed. He promised me that he would pay back half all the expenses.
Did you do that, Mr. Wagner?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what you did say with regard to any of these outstanding bills, some of which she has, some of which she doesn't have. She certainly doesn't have an outstanding bill for a car loan that was for a mutual friend in Massachusetts because there's been no action on that. And certainly that would not be for you to pay to her. It would be for you to pay to this person if you, in fact, took a loan from this person. Tell me about, let's say, the daycare.
Well, basically, Your Honor, the daycare, most of the time that we incurred the daycare, she was not working. She was at home and basically had the children in daycare.
That's
so
not
that
true.
Basically,
don't speak now.
So that basically they would be able to either spend time with friends or just so that she could kind of have some time to herself.
Which sometimes is a very good thing, Mr. Wagner.
And so that they could hang out with kids and whatnot. And basically as far as...
So you agree to that?
Yes, I do agree to that, yes.
You agree to that? Well, how was the daycare paid?
Basically, the daycare was not paid. I have not given any money towards it. Primarily right now, I am just giving her the $600 on a monthly basis. It has not been every once in a while. It has been on a monthly basis, $300 every 2 weeks, and basically have stated to her that I don't think I should have to pay the half of the daycare, that the child support should, a little bit of it should go to pay this person back.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Wagner. Instead of giving her $600 a month or $300, why don't you give her $500 and pay $100 towards the daycare expense, as long as there's no court order, sir?
Well, basically the main reason I'm paying the $600 is the fact that she has stated that if I don't pay the child support that we did verbally agree to, that she would basically not allow me to see the children, which I don't see already because they're 3,000 miles away. And she had stated that if I did not pay the full $600, that she would go to the child support department and ask them to seek the full amount allowed by the law, which could be more than $600.
Well, then that might be a problem for you, Mr. Wagner. That's what you should do. You know, there are federal child support guidelines in this country because the federal government in each state says that children are entitled to be supported to the extent that each parent is able to support them. You have 2 children, so if what you're saying to me, for instance, Mr. Wagner, is that you give her $600 now, if she were to take you to court, it's very likely, based upon that child support formula, let's say you'd be paying $800 a month.
Okay.
Right? And you don't want to pay the $800 a month, so you have this agreement for $600 a month. I'm telling Miss Rich, go to court, get the full amount of child support that your children are entitled to, and pay the daycare.
I'm in the process of doing that. I'm working
well,
with the Department of
that's
Revenue.
good. So I'm not dealing with the daycare. Because
Your
when you
Honor,
go to
if I don't pay this back, I'm going to be the one that goes to jail for this because she's the one who's going to be suing me.
Let me explain something to you. You're not going to jail for anything, Miss Rich.
She is suing me in small claims. I can't
Listen
afford
to me.
this. The child
I'm
support-
speaking.
Kimberly Rich says ex-boyfriend Carl Wegener owes for daycare fees, a loan, and unpaid bills. Carl says Kimberly has a problem managing her money.
When you are not married, and you are not married to Mr. Wagner, when you take him to court for the support of 2 out-of-wedlock children, they are entitled to a certain amount of support. They are also entitled to retroactive support for certain expenses, including birthing expenses, if he did not contribute to those. The court, when they render an order for child support, will render an order that will encompass all of his obligations. And I am not now prepared to say to you that I am going to either increase or decrease those obligations. If you're in the process of getting a child support order, Mr. Wagner says that in all probability it is going to exceed the $600 that he's paying you now. And what I'm suggesting to you is that you take the difference and make a payment schedule with the daycare and pay him off.
I am on payment schedules
Good.
with everybody.
No, you're not on a payment schedule, Miss Rich, with the person who you took $1,500 from.
No, I am not because I'm court ordered to pay other bills right now.
that were incurred while we were together. He agreed to pay back those bills. I can't feed my children. I can't put diapers on them. This little support that he does send me has to go towards everything that is incurred now. Not incurred last when we were together, but incurred now. They have to eat. They have to have diapers. They have to have all this stuff. That shouldn't even count towards the old stuff.
Well, I just said to you, I am not dealing with the daycare center, because that will be addressed by a family court judge. I am not addressing the loan to this mutual friend that you took out, because that has not been reduced to a judgment. As far as I know, she can sue him for that money. If you had paid the money to this person and then sue him for half, then you have a cause of action. But
I've
right
been
now,
making payments to everybody. I have proof saying I've been making payments.
What's the name of the person, Miss Rich, that you borrowed $1,500 from?
Heather Eustitis.
Show me that you made payments to her.
I just have her statements and everything.
You have a statement there from her that says that you've paid her back?
I have a statement in here saying that we promised to pay her back.
That's not what I said, Miss Rich.
It doesn't say exactly how much I paid her back. No, it doesn't. It doesn't give exact amounts of how much I paid her back. No.
Well, then show me how much you paid her back. You must have receipts. You must have canceled checks.
I don't have the receipts with me. No, I just have the receipt that she gave me.
Do you have any receipts that she gave you for money that you paid back to her?
No, I don't.
Because you didn't pay her any money back. Because if you had paid her money back, then you would have had a receipt.
The daycare, I have something saying that I paid.
Listen to me. I told you, you have to go to family court with regard to payments for the daycare, because that will be encompassed in a family court order of support that they will make against Mr. Wegener. I've explained that to you, not once, 3 times.
I understand that.
3 times. Do you get any state aid for any of your children?
Yes, I get SSI. I get SSI for me, and I do get food stamps for them right now because I can't afford to live at this point.
What's the basis of your SSI?
I've had it since I was 18. It just says that I had depression and I wasn't able to work due to my depression in and out of programs when I was 18.
So how much do you get in SSI?
This month I'm only getting $300. Normally I get $635 a month to live on.
And in food stamps, how much do you get?
Food stamps, I get $200 a month to live on.
Any other assistance?
For my oldest daughter, she gets $400, but that's her money. So yeah, so for her.
From what?
For AFDC.
So you get welfare?
Yes.
We're going to get there, Miss Rich. That's why we're not going through the family court, because if you went through the family court, what would happen is, Miss Rich, so that we all understand it, and I'm just as smart as you are, if you went to the family court and they made an order for him to pay $800 a month, let us say, for his children, they would take your daughter off AFDC.
No, because that's not his daughter. So whatever he pays for child support...
Just a second, where's the father of that other child?
He's court ordered to pay AFDC.
I know all about AFDC. So you get $600 a month from him. You get $635 a month from SSI. You get $200 a month in food stamps, and you get $400 a month in welfare. So you get $1,835 a month.
When he pays me the child support.
Just a second. You get, well, then take him to court.
I am in the process of taking him to court.
So you get, I'm speaking, you get $1,835 a month. Tax-free income so far. What do you earn, Mr. Wegener?
Monthly, about the same, about between $1,600 and $1,800 a month, but that's actually for working 40 hours a week.
Just a second. $1,600 and $1,800 a month?
Yes.
Okay. And out of that $1,600 or $1,800 a month, you send her 6?
Yes.
According to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Leaving you with between $1,000 a month?
And $1,200.
And $1,200 a month?
That's correct.
For yourself?
Yes. Which I also have debts of my own that I pay as well, and gas, because I live about an hour away.
I'm sure. So your financial arrangement is going to be resolved in a family court situation where each of you are going to present your bills. Each of you are going to present your outstanding loans and obligations. Family court judge, after they review your tax returns, the extent of the assistance that you're getting from various parts of the government, going to make a determination as to how much Mr. Wegener should be paying you in child support. And that child support will include any money that he perhaps might owe for outstanding child care expenses while his child or children were in daycare. I'm not interested in that, and I'm not interested in the $1,500 loan that you made to Heather Eustitis. Heather Eustitis can sue you or can sue Mr. Wegener. And I suggest that if she is a friend of yours, that she will probably sue Mr. Wegener. Now, what other utilities are you being billed for from the time that you lived together?
Right.
Just utilities.
I'm going to tell you what the utilities are, ma'am. The utilities is oil. I'm ordered to pay oil for when we lived together. That was the court ordered that from that. I have phone bill.
Just show me the bills.
Yep. That's the oil. That's the cable. That's the phone. And that's the cell phone and the check that from the grocery store.
Whose cell phone?
It was ours together. Well, it was in my name, but like we were together and we were using it.
Just a second. How many cell phones were there?
One.
Let me see it, Bert. This lady is not going to be happy. Verizon New England. What is that for?
That's the regular home phone.
For where?
For where we lived in Barry. That's from when we lived together in our apartment.
What was the address?
207. Our P.O. box was 135.
Did you live with her at this address, sir?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you know there was an outstanding bill of $381.75?
No, Your Honor, I did not. I was under the impression that most of the bills got paid.
That's not true.
Your payment is due in this office February 6, 2006. Show me proof that you paid it.
Proof that I paid it?
Show me proof that you paid it. A bill, a money order, a canceled check.
It came out of my debit account. I might have it on my bank statement.
Good. Because all it has here is your handwriting, paid in full. That's your handwriting.
That was the original bill. I have my credit report saying how much the original bill was for.
Listen to me very carefully, Miss Rich. You wrote here, paid in full. Let me see how you paid this $381.
I did it with a debit card. I have paid them in full with a debit card.
Show me from your bank account.
I don't think I have it in here. I don't have my bank statement with that one on it. I don't, but I did.
You have something else here that says, I don't know what CBE Group is?
That's DirecTV when we lived in South Barry again.
Again, you have paid in full.
Right, they take it out of my accounts every month.
Paid in full, $421.06.
That was one of the bills I just paid off.
But you need proof that you paid this off.
See, they automatically took it out of my bank account. But it's still bills we incurred together.
Who's R.J. McDonald?
That's the oil company that we had in our apartment together.
Okay, there is a judgment entered against you for $418.36.
I'm on a payment plan with them right now.
Okay. Is that a bill that you had together?
Yes, it was at the house we both lived at together, yes.
It is reasonable, therefore, that since you were kept warm with the oil that this provided, that you should pay half of it?
Well, to some extent, yes.
And to the other extent?
Basically, the fact that it was cranked up to 90 in the middle of winter when at the expense of this oil, after me asking her several times, we need to keep this down because we can't afford $500.
Listen to me, Mr. Wegener, if you didn't think she was a good mate, you shouldn't have moved to California with her and made another baby with her. But you don't come here and complain that you kept the house too hot a year and a half later. We understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. I'm also going to tell you this, Mr. Wegener. You will be going to family court, and the family courts usually do not look kindly on people that circumvent, do sidestepping around the law so that people can collect money for AFDC, from Social Security, from food stamps and everything else, so they're not paying the full measure of their child support. What very well could happen to you is, despite the fact that you are sending, according to you, $600 a month, $300 every 2 weeks, is that the courts are going to say, that doesn't count because you are responsible for part of this AFDC bill that we're sending into the house, and you are responsible for part of this food stamp that we're sending into the house. As a matter of fact, we're going to make you responsible for all the rest of it that the father of a first child isn't paying for. And they're not going to give you any credit at all. So I would suggest that you start saving your pennies and you formalize a payment situation with the family court so that you will know exactly what you're going to be getting from him every month, that it will come out of his salary if he doesn't pay it, that you can start regulating the payment of your bills, counting on some of it for him, that you probably, considering that he will be giving you more money, hopefully will be not receiving food stamps anymore. I don't know about AFDC for your family. I have no idea. Right now you receive almost $2,000 a month without working. That's a pretty good trick.
He's making it sound like it's $2,000 a month.
It's not him. You. I added up the figures you gave me.
The figures from SSI and AFDC doesn't add up to $2,000. They add up to like $1,000.
You gave me the figures.
Yes.
I added them up. Your SSI, your child's AFDC, your food stamps.
Right.
The $600 he sends you is $1,835
That's
a
when
month.
He sends those payments, though. I also got
then
these
go to
bills in
court.
both of
Then
our
go to
names.
court. But you know, you risk when you go to court, and you're well aware of this, certain state-subsidized benefits if you take him to court and have formalized an arrangement for child support that he's going to pay. You understand that, and I understand that. So stop crying, take him to court, and get the money that you're supposed to get for your children from him. And if that means that you have to give up certain other benefits, so be it.
I don't care about those benefits.
Good. Goodbye.
Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $209. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
He loves his children. He's just not there for physically or financially.
I hope that I will eventually get to see my children, which she took 3,000 miles away, so that would be why I'm not there for them physically.
I'm hoping that he can finally live up to his obligations as a father and be able to be there for his daughters.
And that's ultimately, I'd like to be able to have my children around.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hartley versus Turner. Step forward, please.
Victoria Hartley is suing her ex-boyfriend, Marcus Turner, for rent, the return of property, and harassment. Victoria says Marcus is obsessed with her.
Miss Hartley, you and Mr. Turner lived together for a while. You had an apartment together. You left.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that when you left, it was agreed that Mr. Turner would keep the apartment and pay the rent on the apartment. The apartment had been leased with a co-signer, a friend of yours. Is this your friend?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that Mr. Turner did not pay the rent for a month. The landlord came after your friend. Your friend paid the rent. You felt obliged to reimburse her for the rent because you and Mr. Turner were living together. You want Mr. Turner to pay you that money.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the first thing. Second thing is you claim that he has some property of yours in a storage unit that you want. And the third thing is you claim he's been harassing.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Turner says you moved out of the apartment without notice, so you can pay that month's rent, that you had plenty of opportunity to get your stuff from storage, and he's got a counterclaim, and his counterclaim's rather interesting. He wants you to pay for your half of the storage. That's ridiculous, Mr. Turner. You agree, don't you? You can't say you abandoned the property and wanted to pay for the storage, right?
Well, if she wants her stuff back, I mean, I'm willing to give back her washer and dryer. That is not a problem. But, I mean, to come after me for 2 years now.
Just a second. So you're willing to give her back her washer and dryer?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. I see how easily we resolve that. Washer and dryer for you. Is it in storage, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So you'll give her back her washer and dryer.
Your Honor.
What?
There's also a box of items that my grandmother had given to me, which she has since passed away, that I would like back.
What's in it?
There are different water pitchers. In the box is also a home interior bride and groom that she gave me when I got married.
You know where that is?
I set that on her mother's back porch. I called her cell phone, so I just left a box on your back porch. You might want to go over there. There was a couple kids across the street. They seen me, so.
It's what you're telling me, Mr. Turner. You don't have the box
No, I dropped the box off at her mother's house.
When?
On the back porch.
When?
Not too sure what day, maybe a year and a half ago.
All I want to know is you do have the washer and dryer. You say you don't have the box anymore.
No, I do not have that.
Doesn't have the box anymore. Now, Miss Hartley, listen to me very carefully. I read your complaint very carefully. There was a time that you went to court to get a restraining order against Mr. Turner. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date was that? Do you remember?
October 2006.
And you had already separated at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I've been in domestic relations courts for many, many years. When you go to domestic relations court, you are asked whether there is anything else that you need. And if you wanted to, you could have said to the judge, there is property in the storage room that I want, and he refuses to give me access to it. Did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get an order to go and get your property?
No.
From the judge?
On the restraining order, it says that I am able to get my things out of storage.
So? Why didn't you go get them?
Because anytime I contact Mr. Turner, he constantly makes it a date type thing.
Then what you do is you go back to court and say he's violated the protective order. You don't wait a year and a half and sue him for the property.
Okay.
It's been a long time. If you really wanted it, you would have gotten it. Now, on what day of the month did Miss Hartley leave the residence? Do you remember?
July, March.
July 19th, 2005.
Did you pay July's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay July's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
What about August? Did you pay August's rent?
No, ma'am. I was moved out at the time.
You can't be moved out half the time,
No, I mean,
Mr.
like
Turner.
there was 2 weeks left on the lease. She moved out like at the middle of the month. I just stayed because it was paid for.
When did you leave, Mr. Turner?
The end of the month.
End of July?
Yes.
And when was the lease up?
August?
So there was a month left on the lease?
I believe so.
Now, when the two of you separated, what arrangements did you make as far as staying in the apartment, Mr. Turner?
I told her I would finish staying the 2 weeks and just move out slowly. She did not have a problem with it. And that's
Did you
what I
say,
did.
I'll finish moving out in 2 weeks, or I'll finish moving out when the lease is over?
No, I move out in 2 weeks.
What did he say?
When I told him I was leaving, I said, what do you want to do about the apartment? Do you want me to contact the manager and tell her I'm going? He says, no, because I don't know where I'm going to live right now. I'll take care of the apartment complex. I said, are you sure? Are you going to live with your grandmother? Are you, do you have a place to go? He said, right now I don't want to live with my grandma. I'm just going to stay here till I find a place. I will let the apartment complex know when I leave. I will handle this.
Sounds right to me. Mr. Turner?
No, ma'am. Because I told her...
Did you pay anything for the month of August, sir?
No, ma'am.
Well, you have to. You had a lease. Who did you expect?
It was month to month at that time. The 4-year lease was up, and it was month to month.
Oh, so you just had to give them a 30-day notice?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give them 30-day notice?
I didn't, no.
Well, but you were the last one in the apartment.
Yes, ma'am. Because I thought she was going to give it. I never told her not to.
Right. Well, how much was the rent?
I believe at that time it was $570 a month.
Well, how much did you pay?
Sandra O'Reilly ended up paying the apartment complex. They wanted $804. There was some damages to the apartment. They had to replace the bathtub.
Just a sec. You lived there for a year?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So you pay $400, he pays $400. That's for August rent. You didn't give 30 days notice, he didn't give 30 days notice.
If I would have known he wasn't going to say anything to the apartment complex, I would have paid for at least half of August.
Well, that's what you're doing. You're paying for half of August. And he's paying for half of August.
All right.
What else?
Even after the restraining order, Marcus has still called the store where I work at and the store I left from. I've had to transfer to 3 different stores, so he finally will stop calling. He hasn't stopped calling. He still calls the stores where I'm at.
What do you call her for?
I do not call her. I don't know where she lives. I don't know where she works. I have no idea what her phone number is. I can't call somebody if I don't know where they live, where they work.
Do you have any proof of his calling?
Yes, ma'am. You want the records before or after the restraining order?
Let me see the records after the restraining order.
I just need the date of the restraining order. Restraining order was dated 10/05/2006. The highlighted ones are the past stores that I've worked at.
How do I know they're coming from him?
If you look at the top of the bill, it'll say his name and his cell phone number.
How did you get these?
I sent an email to Sprint and told him I was taking him to court and wanted phone records.
Is your phone number 810?
That was one of the stores I was at, yes, ma'am.
Whose number ends in 3753?
That was the store I went to in July, and then he had come up to the store and said he was somebody else, left his cell phone number, wanted to know was I dating anybody. I don't see why he has to keep calling the stores where I'm at, asking about me, driving past my house, if he doesn't have any of my items except the washer and dryer in storage.
Why do you call her?
I do not call her.
Well, you did. These are your phone records.
There was a time that I did because we was working.
These are your phone records.
All right.
December and January. Clearly, you made phone calls to her places of employment. There's no reason for you to call her places of employment. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't call her anymore, sir.
Okay.
You want to tell me in 10 seconds about your counterclaim?
No, you done dismissed it, so...
I didn't do that yet, but I'm going to.
I hear for like a year and a half, she did not want her washer and dryer. Now she's coming back for it. I think she's owes me half the storage. I mean, it was in there. I gave her 4 opportunities to let her come get it. My one witness...
Listen to me. Mr. Turner, I don't know why she's here, sir. I have no clue why she's here. She's going to get her $400 for your half of the rent for August 2006 because that you should have paid. Neither one of you gave 30 days notice. She didn't give 30 days notice. You didn't give 30 days notice. True. If her friend who co-signed for you had to come up with that money and she reimbursed her friend, it's only reasonable and fair that you be the responsible.
No, very true.
Okay, the washer and dryer is laying in storage. She wants it.
Yes.
You give it to her. The two of you never had an agreement that she was going to pay for the storage. There was never a contract that she was going to pay any part of the storage. That's why your counterclaim is dismissed.
Okay.
Do you understand? Thank you very much. Goodbye. Good luck. Have a happy life.
That is our excuse. You may step out.
He's a stalker, and he will still, to this day, not leave me alone.
Truthfully and honest.
He still comes to my job. He still goes past my house.
I mean, here she says I'm driving by your house, doing this.
He's stalking me and won't leave me alone.
It's crazy.
Well, from this day forward, when I see him pass my house, I'm just going to call 911.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Zuloff versus Steck. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Jacqueline Zuloff is suing her mom, Shelley Steck, for the return of a 97 Pontiac Sunfire. Shelley says the car is titled in her name.
Ms. Zuloff, this is your mom.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you believe that your mom conned you out of a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Your mother says that she did, in fact, purchase it from you and paid you for it. Tell me about the car. When did you buy it?
I purchased the car on February 9th, 2006.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $400 for the car.
Who did you purchase it from?
It was a friend of my uncle's.
What kind of car was it?
It's a 97 Pontiac Sunfire.
Okay. Now I'll hear your story.
Okay. On July 31st, 2006, I went into labor with my daughter.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Are you married?
No.
Who do you live with?
My father.
Go ahead.
We had contacted my mother while we were at the hospital. Her engine had blown up in her car. When she arrived at the hospital, she asked to borrow my car because that way she could come back when I actually went into labor.
And you said, yes, you can borrow my car.
Yes, I did. The agreement was 2 weeks. After my mother had borrowed the car, after the 2 weeks, we had talked again, and at the time, I wasn't working.
What month was this?
This was probably around the end of October, beginning of November.
So she's had the car now August, September, and October for
Yes,
3 months. So far, is that correct that you were using your daughter's car for 3 months?
August, September, and 2 weeks of October.
Okay.
So she told me there were a couple things wrong with the car. Since I wasn't working, I couldn't afford to pay for it. And the insurance was $152 in my name. So she told me that if I signed the title and we put it in both of our names, that she could get cheaper insurance. She would, pay for it and give it back to me since I couldn't work and I had my daughter.
Okay. So
I went ahead, I signed the back of the title, and her boyfriend, George, he came to my house and picked up the title, and my boyfriend's mother had gone to bingo and met up with my mom, and that's when my mom had told her that I had sold her the car and that she wasn't giving it back.
Did she ever give you any money for the car?
No, ma'am.
Who paid for the insurance the 3 months that your mother had the car from August, September, and October?
My mom paid, but I had to pay for 1 month because I got a cancellation notice in the mail saying...
Which month?
I believe it was September.
Did she pay you back for September's?
No.
How many months of insurance did you pay for, Miss Steck?
Did I pay for it? 2.
Okay. Now I'll hear your story.
Okay. July 31st, my daughter went into labor. I was on my way to work when I got the phone call. A friend had picked me up to take me to work. She had called me and said she was in labor. My boyfriend had met me at the hospital where she was having the baby. I had asked if I could borrow the car so that I could come back and see her and the baby. I came back at 2 o'clock in the morning. I asked if I could borrow the car for a little while longer, and she said yes. So I took the car home. I let her know, I believe it was about 2.5, 3 weeks later, that I needed to keep the car a little longer.
And you had been driving the car?
Correct.
Keep going.
Okay. In September, I had noticed that Jacqueline's tags had expired on her car. I called Jackie, and I said, well, Jackie, you are going to have to get this car re-inspected because it is past the 60 days to put tags on the car. I said, there's a couple of things that you're probably going to have to fix, because it's been since April that she had the car inspected. And she says, well, I can't afford to keep the car on the road with the insurance. I can't afford to get the car re-inspected and get it fixed. And I said, well, Jackie, I still need a car. I said, I'll buy the car from you and give you the $400 that you paid for the car since you don't want it anyway. And she was like, that's fine. I got a phone call from her father. Her father, whom I do not get along with, wants to know when I'm going to give her back the car.
Show me proof that you paid her for the car.
It was my daughter.
Show me proof that you paid her for the car.
I don't have any. So her father called me and said that, I need to give her car back. I said she's welcome to come and get the car anytime that she wants. Then I would talk to Jackie. Jackie's like, no, I don't want the car.
Why didn't you just, listen, you're driving her car now for 3 months. If you had to go and rent a car, you couldn't have done that for less than $200 a month. That's clear. So why didn't you just say to your daughter, because I've been using your car for 2.5 months, and because it's not a new car, and if it needs things, could be because of the way I drove it, the mileage I put on the car, I'll have it fixed, I'll have it inspected, I'll take care of it for you, honey. Thanks for letting me use it for the last 3 months.
It wasn't 3 months, Your Honor. It was only for a month and a half.
No, wrong. August, that's when you took it. September, and according to you, 2 weeks into October. That's 3 months. Because when you lease a car, if you only use it for 2 weeks, you pay for the whole month, right? That's what a mother does. Mother doesn't say, oh, this is a real good opportunity for me to get myself a good car.
That's not what I did.
That's exactly what you did. Did you say to your daughter, listen, you did me a favor, I'll take care of getting the car inspected, tagged. Did you say that to her?
No,
That's
I did
what
not.
a mother does. That's what a mother does. Where's the car title?
The one in my name or the one in hers?
The one in your name. Bird, figure out where she signs that title back to her daughter.
Where it says seller.
Yeah, signature seller up here. Sign and print your name.
Could you give the title to the plaintiff, please, Bird? Go pick up your car, madam. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My daughter did not want the car. Her father had given her a lot of problems about letting me have the car.
I do want the car. I need the car. I have a daughter I have to support.
Her father was going to throw her out of the house if she did sell me the car.
My mother doesn't know what she's talking about. I filed papers before my father said that, any of that.
I couldn't believe that she was taking me to court.
My mom has a way of manipulating people.
I guess lying wins.
She's really never been there for me my whole life, and I've always wanted her to be there.
She's still my daughter.
I hope that I can look at her experiences and not do the same to my own daughter.
Case 2113, Pickett versus Glick. All parties, please step forward.
William Pickett is suing his former friend, Clinton Gick, for unpaid car payments and vehicle damage.
Mr. Pickett, you and the defendant, according to what I've read, were friends. You knew each other.
Yes.
You had a car that you were interested in selling. The defendant was interested in purchasing the car. Your car was 10 or 11-year-old vehicle,
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
When had you purchased it?
I purchased it about a year or so prior.
So you only had the car for a year. You were not an original owner.
Yeah.
Did you pay cash?
I did.
How much did you pay for the car?
Roughly $10,000, $10,000.
No, I want to know. I mean, you came to court today, not a roughly. Today we know the numbers. We're not talking about something that happened 20 years ago, something that happened a year ago. You bought a car a year ago. You paid cash for it, according to you. I want to know how much you paid for it. That's easy. You should have those records.
$10,000.
Well, now you say 10, right?
Yep.
Now you say 10. So now I'm going to tell you to go outside and get me the bill of sale for the car.
I did not bring that.
Why?
I didn't think I needed it.
How am I supposed to ascertain what you paid for the car, sir?
I didn't think about that.
Should have thought about it. I thought about it right off the bat. You had the car for 1 year. And when did you sell it to the defendant?
3/18 of 22.
For how much?
$10,000.
Well, then you're a genius businessman, because unless this 10, 11-year-old car, Mr. Pickett, had something really unusual about it, most cars depreciate the moment you drive them out of a lot. You bought this car from a company, which means you paid more for it than if you purchased it through a private person. You understand that?
Yes.
Of course. So there was clearly a markup. Sarah, take a look at a 2012 Dodge Charger with 148,000 miles.
I got it. Between 7,500 and 10,000 for a private party sale.
Okay, so as I thought, the value of the car went down from when you bought it, but you sold it to him for $10,000 because he was making payments, I assume because he was making payments. Did you have a written contract?
I did.
I'd like to take a look at it. Mr. Glick, how did you know each other, sir?
We worked together. We'd known each other for about a year, I think, at the time the car was sold.
Okay, so the first thing was he traded in something of value, which was he gave you a car.
Correct.
What kind of car did he give you?
A Honda minivan.
Did you have the title to that?
Yes, I did.
Did he turn over the title to you?
He did.
What did you do with the Honda minivan?
I sold it.
To whom?
Someone off of Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, when did you sell it?
A few weeks afterwards.
How much did you sell it for? How much did you say you sold it for?
$1,000, $1,200.
Let's get specific, Mr. Pickett.
$1,000.
I'm not exactly sure what he sold it for, but clearly acknowledges at least $1,000. So this is what the lawsuit is about, and I've read your contract. According to the contract that you have here, you listed the dates, the schedule of payments, and you marked off when he paid and when he didn't. But we're going to go through the dates, and your lawsuit seeks damages to the car, repo fees, the unpaid contract price of the car because you repossessed it and you want him to continue until he's finished paying for it, right? That's what you want.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant has a counterclaim. And his counterclaim, in effect, although he doesn't articulate it in legalese, the basis of his countersuit is that there was never any meaningful breach of the contract and that he tried to make his payments pursuant to the contract and that you repossessed the car without just cause, and he's counterclaiming for the money that he put into the car as equity. That's what your counterclaim is.
That's
correct? Okay. So far, you put in $4,000. According to this, he paid you March of 2022, April. As a matter of fact, he made 2 payments.
Correct. Payment schedules for every 2 weeks.
Shh. 6/17, he made a partial payment, but made that up on 7/1, so he was up to date. Then you say on the 15th of July, he missed a payment. Did you miss a payment the 15th of July?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Tell me why.
At that point, the plaintiff had already threatened to repossess the car several times before I'd ever missed a payment on the car.
Because you made a partial payment once in June.
Yeah, and also...
But then made it up again within 2 weeks.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you had already said to him, you missed payments, I'm going to repossess the car.
I informed, I didn't threaten to repossess it.
No.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you missed a payment on July 15th.
Yes, and I informed him when I missed the payment that the reason for missing it, he had just filed for bankruptcy, and with his bankruptcy and the threats to repossess the car, I had decided that I wanted to miss, as it states in the contract, that I could miss 2 consecutive payments before repossession. I wanted to talk to a lawyer and make sure that I wasn't going to be putting even more money into a car
that you weren't going to have equity in.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's why you missed July 15th.
Yes, that's
okay.
correct.
And it's the 29th of July, also missed.
Yes. So I attempted to give Mr. Pickett a $500 payment on the 29th. He refused to accept that payment, and I have that in text.
I'd like to see it.
Text messages.
I'd like to see it. Do you acknowledge that he attempted to give you a payment on the 29th?
Yeah, he attempted to make a partial payment.
He attempted to give you $500.
Correct.
And tell me why you didn't accept the $500. He missed the payment on the 15th.
I informed him on the 16th that I would not accept a late payment unless it's in conjunction with the current payment.
You can't change the contract, sir. You can't change a written contract. There was a loan on this car.
Yeah, there was a title loan on it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. That adds a different wrinkle to this whole thing. Because you told me you paid cash for the car, so I assume there was not a problem.
William Pickett claims his former friend, Clinton Gick, owes for car payments and vehicle damage. Clinton is countersuing, claiming William sold the car under false pretenses.
Now, you had a written contract with him. If you're changing the terms, he has to agree to the terms in writing in the same force and manner of the original contract, which is this in writing signed by both parties. You have a contract here. The contract says he can't miss 2 consecutive payments. He wasn't missing 2 consecutive payments. He missed July 15th, and he tried to give you one on the 29th of July. If you refuse to accept it, he hasn't missed 2 payments. You refuse to accept the second one. Got it?
Got it.
Okay, well, I see the interchange, Mr. Pickett, and the interchange clearly says you're paying your $1,000 today or returning my car. He says, I'll be giving you my $500 payment that's due today. Then you changed the contract and you said, not acceptable. You're behind $500 and a late payment will only be acceptable with a current payment. Is there anything about that in your contract?
There's not.
Okay, so if it's not in your contract, it doesn't exist, and you had so far no reason to repossess the car. Did he try to make a payment to you in August?
I think one other time between the time I repossessed it.
Okay, well, you had no reason to repossess it so far unless he missed 2 consecutive payments or unless he failed to keep insurance. Did he fail to keep insurance?
I have never been given proof of insurance.
This doesn't require that you are given proof of insurance
or not.
This doesn't say you require proof. Did you have insurance on the car?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Through whom?
Erie Insurance Agency.
Okay, and you have no information to the contrary?
I don't.
Okay, fine. So at the time you repossessed the car so far, Mr. Pickett, you didn't have basis under your contract to repossess the car.
There was also other terms that I believed he had violated.
Well, let's hear them. So far, he didn't miss 2 consecutive payments. Had you filed for bankruptcy?
I had started filing for bankruptcy, yeah.
Is that completed?
Still hasn't been discharged yet. I think I have another month or so.
Was this the first time you filed for bankruptcy? Yes, buyer misses 2 or more consecutive payments. Buyer fails to maintain full coverage under insurance, any significant damage to the vehicle that is not repaired in 30 days. Did you notify Mr. Glick of any damage to the car, give him notice, and say, pursuant to the contract, it has to be fixed in 30 days?
We had talked about it when he came to drop off one of his payments, and he said...
Well, give me a month.
It was...
A month and a year.
It was in June.
June of 2022, he came over to drop off a payment, and that would have either been on June 3rd or June 17th.
Correct.
Okay, and tell me about the conversation.
I said, hey, there's a dent in the front now. He said he'll get taken care of. At that point, I didn't really inspect the car because...
Well, I don't care what you didn't do. Yeah. I want to know what you did.
Yeah, I told him, it needs to be fixed. And he said he'll get taken care of.
Okay, and?
When I repossessed it, it was still there, as well as more damage.
Okay. Did he talk to you about the dent in the front?
I don't recall that conversation ever happening. There was text messages sent to me about damage to the car. The car had dents and dings all over it when I got the car. I mean, the front bumper even had significant damage to it.
You repossessed the car at the end of August. Where is the car now?
At my house.
What's it doing at your house?
I was just sitting there for the moment.
Well, what's your intention to do with the car?
Give it up in my bankruptcy or repair it and keep it and pay it off.
Who has the title?
The title loan company.
So there was a loan on this car?
Yeah, there was a title loan on it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. That adds a different wrinkle to this whole thing, because you told me you paid cash for the car, so I assume there was not a problem. When did you take out a title loan on the car?
I took out the title loan.
Month and year?
One of them was in December of 21.
Did you know that there was a title loan taken out on this car?
I knew that there was one. I didn't know that there were multiple. I don't know. But yeah, I did know there was a title loan.
Did you know in what amount?
No, I was never.
Well, that's pretty dumb of you.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, because if you're buying something free and clear that he owes nothing on, that's one thing. How much was the title loan?
Roughly $6,000 is what was owed on it still at that point when he bought it.
How much did you pay off?
A few thousand by that point. It's super high interest.
Okie dokie. Mr. Pickett, your claim against the defendant is dismissed. I'm now entertaining his counterclaim. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You get stuck with this car. Now, problem is, you drove this car.
Yes.
Was it your primary source of driving the car?
Yes, it was.
Okay. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so, Mr. Glick, this was your primary vehicle. How much do you think it would cost you to rent a car per month? Per month. Give me a figure.
To rent a car?
Yeah.
Per month, I would say $900 a month, probably something like that. $900,000 a month, maybe.
Okay. Based upon what you told me, it's not so egregious because you had the use of the car for 10 months. I actually don't think that an 11-year-old car would cost that much to rent. $900 a month, considering that you also paid for your own insurance.
Correct.
And if you rented a car, that the insurance would, of necessity, come with a car. Sarah, could you look up for me best deals on leasing a Dodge Charger? I don't know what that is. Is that a truck?
It's a car.
Is there a site where you could look that up?
I'll see what I could find.
But the intention was that money was going to go towards, something that I would own.
Well, I understand that,
right.
but you had full use of his property for 10 months.
Sure.
You don't think it's fair for you not to pay for some of that use?
I would think the depreciation in the car for the mileage that I put on it would be more than fair. Absolutely.
Everything depends on how much you put down versus how much you pay monthly, so there's a wide range.
Give me the range. He didn't put anything.
$786 a month, $843 a month, but these are for brand new Dodge Chargers, not for 2012.
Oh.
So.
Okay. And according to you, the current low price on this car is $7,500 price.
For a private party.
For a private party, low price, $7,500.
Yes.
So you're going to resell this car. And the car is currently in working order. And the low price on that car is $7,500, right?
Yes.
And he's already paid you $5,000.
Yes.
In order to break even, if you sold that car, all you need is $2,500.
Correct.
So I think that it's more than fair to give you credit for the $2,500 from what you paid.
Okay.
You paid $5,000. Half of that seems to be a more than reasonable figure to have full use of his property, and he repossessed the car. I don't think he had any basis to repossess the car, which is why he dismissed his case. And you certainly don't want to get involved with bankruptcies and payments, so you don't want this car back, because getting this car back will be more trouble for you than anything else.
Exactly.
I absolutely understand that, because then you're dealing with his creditors and whatever. I'm not trusting that whole situation. In any event, I don't think that you paying $2,500 towards the rental of the car over a 10-month period is unreasonable, and then he's whole. Then if he wants to spend money to have the car spruced up before he sells it, well, maybe he can get $8,500 for it, and then he's whole. So now everybody's happy. Judgment on the counterclaim for $2,500. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very happy.
Need a car? I had a car.
I don't think it was an honest transaction on his part.
I'll keep buying and selling.
So yeah, I think he was just trying to get a quick payday.
So I just want to make sure I have this right. The defendant was paying the plaintiff $1,000 a month towards the vehicle that the plaintiff had a title loan out on, but instead of paying off the title loan so the defendant would have the car free and clear,
right,
he decided to keep the payments and not pay off the title loan.
Correct. Which means that even after he completed the payments, which he was halfway finished with, he could not have gotten clear title.
Yeah.
Because the title is with the loan company. And he's filed for bankruptcy, so you can't come against him.
Herman and Tina Smoody are suing their former son-in-law, Dalton McDonald, for unpaid loans.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2082, Smoody versus McDonald.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. and Mrs. Smoody, the defendant used to be married to your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
And according to what I've read, they were married for about 5 years?
Yes.
The thrust of your claim is that he owes for a couple of things, for rent and the balance of a truck. That's your lawsuit against him. I'd like to know, do you know the date of their marriage?
3/16/2011.
And your ex-wife's first name?
Jacqueline.
And when did you and your former wife separate?
In 2020.
And you had 2 children. How old are they now?
They are 5 and 8.
And who has custody of the children?
Dalton has physical, and they have joint custody.
Just a second. So he has custody of the 2 younger children?
Yes.
That's a yes. How long have you had custody of the 2 children?
Since July of last year.
At some point during the marriage, there was a truck purchased.
Yes.
Who purchased the truck?
Dalton purchased the truck. I co-signed for it.
And when was it purchased? Month and year?
June of 2017.
Was that the only car that they had?
Yes.
So that was a family car?
Yes.
And in 2017, was your daughter working?
Yes.
So both parents worked. And both parents, I assume, pooled their money and I assume made car payments.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Is that correct? Both. And then they separated in 2020, and at that time the children came to live with you.
Correct.
And you took the truck.
Yes.
By agreement with your now ex-wife.
Yes.
In 2020, who made the car payments?
My husband did.
Is that correct?
Yes. I made all of the car payments on that vehicle. All of them, from the time it was purchased until we paid it off.
Okay, so what you're telling me is from 2017, you made all the car payments.
That's correct.
Did your daughter and son-in-law make any of those payments?
Not directly, but they paid toward the balance of the money that they were.
You paid for the truck.
That's correct.
Since 2017, since they
correct.
were married.
Yes.
With no reimbursement.
I took payments out of my daughter's check.
Just be very, very careful with me, sir.
Yeah.
I want you to be very careful with me. I read that, what we call in Yiddish, Bubbermeises in here, that you took money out of your daughter's check. Bubbermeises, it means grandma's tale. It means it's not true. It means it doesn't sound right to me. I read it in here. Don't try to repeat it here because that won't be good for you. Okay, I'm going to believe you if you show me copies of her checks that you made to her with withdrawals from money she owed you. That's all I want to see. Do you have that?
I do not.
Not, of course not. Now, he has the truck, and this was clearly either a gift or a marital debt. Either one of those 2 things. It's either a gift or a marital debt. It was a family car that was used by your daughter, her husband, the grandchildren, with, according to you, no reimbursement, according to you, except this ridiculous reimbursement from your daughter's check, which I don't believe, so I'm not even going into it, with no reimbursement 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. And when your daughter and the defendant separated in 2020, according to him and according to you, he took the truck and the children. And that was with her consent or not?
Yes, it was.
With her consent. Is that so far right? That's what you're telling me.
It's accurate.
Right. Did you intervene in the divorce proceeding and say that there is money owed, marital debt owed, and part of the marital debt is this loan on the truck?
No.
No. The answer is no, you did not. It would also be fair to say that you don't know how much, according to you, she paid for the truck.
I do, Your Honor. I have that ledger that I have. I would go to her each week and say, Jacqueline, how much can I take toward the loan? And that's how much I would take off each week.
All you have to do, sir, is show me. Otherwise, this is a whole bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
It's a marital debt. You did not intervene in the divorce proceedings and say, listen, this is a debt that's still outstanding, whatever it is, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You didn't do that. Now, the only thing that you can say to me with regard to this truck business is if you had, had an agreement with a defendant in 2017 to pay the truck. And be very careful, because what you've told me is he didn't make any payments to you from 2017 ever.
He made some payments.
Just a second. Interesting. Show me where he made payments. Did you give him a receipt for payments?
No, this is a small town, and
It's not a small town, it's a family, sir. It's not a small...
I do have the ledger.
I'm not interested in the ledger you created. It's self-serving and therefore inadmissible and created for the purpose solely of this litigation and not created at the same time that the event took place. I might even cut you a little slack if you had a ledger, a book with entries in it at different times from 2017 in different ink, with a day, how much was paid back on the loan. I guarantee you do not have that. You have a very nice piece of white paper that you created for me. Is that correct? That is correct.
That is accurate.
Okay, so I'm not interested in your ledger. That's not a ledger. That's a document prepared for the purposes of litigation. So I want you to tell me what conversation you had and when with Mr. McDonald about paying for the truck. They bought this boat from you.
Accurate.
And how much did you sell it to them for?
$2,500.
Herman and Tina Smoody claim their former son-in-law, Dalton McDonald, owes for unpaid loans.
Now, I want you to tell me what conversation you had and when with Mr. McDonald about paying for the truck.
That was from the very beginning, because I was paying all their bills.
Just a second. I don't care whether you were paying their bills. I understand you were paying all their bills because they came to live with you for a brief period of time because they were evicted for whatever reason, and that was sometime in 2016. Okay. So I understand that you were paying their bills. Well, sometimes that's what parents do. They pay their bills.
We were paying their bills because they had no checking account.
That doesn't matter to me. I want to know your conversations with, where did it take place? Because you're not suing your daughter, you're suing him.
The conversation was when we rented the farm for them, which I know is not with the truck, but the landlord would not let them rent from them because they had terrible credit.
We'll get to the rent later. Stick with the truck. Don't talk to him when I'm asking him questions.
Well, the truck was the same thing. We put that on the ledger then, or on the running total, and they agreed. They both agreed that they were going to pay us off.
Okay.
He came over on Labor Day weekend, and I showed him the ledger, which he saw all the time.
No. Don't tell me what he saw. Don't tell me what he saw. If what you're saying is you showed him the ledger when he came over with the boys,
yes,
and he was going back to Minnesota.
Right.
And he brought the boys to see you to say goodbye?
Correct.
Okay, so far, it's very nice. You have a reasonable relationship with him, and certainly your daughter was clearly overwhelmed because courts do not usually split up children, so they must have felt that the children's best interest would be served if they remained with their father. Clearly what happened, the father came over to you to let you say goodbye to the children, and when he came over to let you say goodbye to the children, let me understand what you're saying to me. What you said to him was, not thank you for taking over this responsibility. Your daughter had more children than she could take care of, physically or financially, right? Clearly.
Yes.
Clearly. So what you want me to believe that two nice people who took in their daughter with her two kids and a husband and bought a truck and made arrangements for them to have some place to live, that these two nice people, when he came over because your daughter couldn't take care of her children, and he brought them to say goodbye. You said, it's very nice. I want you to take a look at this ledger and see how much money you owe me. That's what you're asking me to believe, right? I'm going to let you live with that fantasy that I believe that.
And so I did give him the balance of what he owed me on the rent.
No.
And on the truck.
Nice.
And
he
he looked me in the eye, he shook my hand and said, Jerry, I promise I'm not going to screw you on this. I'm going to make those payments.
Make payments for what?
On the rent and on the truck.
Okay. Did you have that conversation with him?
No, I did not, Your Honor. The conversation was when I came up there the last time, Jerry was trying to sell his fishing boat, so I posted it on Facebook, and I sold it for him.
In what month and year?
That would have been September of 2020. After selling the boat, he gave me $1,200 for helping him.
How much did he sell the boat for?
It was $4,700.
So that was after you'd already moved?
Correct.
With the children?
Yep.
Okay. He helped you sell the boat for $4,700? Just answer my question.
No.
Did you give him $1,200?
No. He bought that boat from me a year prior to that. He had it.
So they bought this boat from you?
Accurate.
When?
That would have been in the spring of 2019.
And how much did you sell it to them for?
$2,500.
Did they pay you for it?
No, part of that was put on the ledger, and part of it was cash.
You know, I'm not buying your whole story. I'm not buying your whole story because what
Your Honor, I'm telling you the honest to God truth.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that I would have sold people who had no credit, who couldn't buy themselves a truck. So you had to co-sign for the only means of transportation that they had, who couldn't pay for their rent, who couldn't pay their bills because of their bad credit. I don't believe this whole scenario about selling them a leisure boat for $2,500. Is mind-boggling that you would think that an intelligent person like me would accept that. Okay, forget the truck. You have the truck now.
Yes.
Okay. You haven't finished your story with me, so sold the boat, and he gave you $1,200.
Correct. I gave him the $1,200 back, which made us even on the truck payment, and he gave me the title. Tina signed it, and then I brought it back to Minnesota and put it in my name.
Okay. Who signed it?
Tina signed it.
My name was on it as well.
Your name?
Yes.
As joint owners with him?
Yep.
Co-signer.
Oh, interesting. In what month did Mrs. Smoody?
Yes.
Sign over the car to you?
The same day that I gave Jerry the $1,200, that would have been in September.
Now, do you remember the $1,200?
No, it was $1,000 that he paid toward the loan when I sold the boat for him. Okay. And it was his boat that I sold for him.
Okay. You did not create this as a marital debt. It absolutely was a marital debt. So I'm dismissing that portion of your claim that deals with the truck. Now, let's deal with the rent. The rent that you're talking about was rent in what property?
The farmhouse that they rented.
From when to when?
2016, November 2020.
And over the years that they lived there as a couple.
Yes.
The rent was paid to a landlord.
Correct.
By you.
Yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
And they, your daughter and her husband, would give you cash, checks, or whatever to cover the rent.
Yep.
Yes.
And how much did they give you to cover the rent?
When we started out, rent was $800, and later on he raised it to $900. We never made it a set amount each week. They gave us what they could. And we've done this before in the past, and they've always paid us back.
Well, then you should have sued them and listed all of this as a marital debt in the process of their divorce. So it could all have been...
We're handling Jacqueline in another way.
You what?
We're handling Jacqueline alone.
I don't understand what that means.
Well, you're saying it was marital.
Just a second. Does that mean that you've already served your daughter with a summons?
Not yet, no.
Of course not. Of course not. And you did know when they were divorcing. Yeah. You did know when they were divorcing. I'm not buying anything of this lawsuit, most of which, at least the rent part, is totally stale. I'm just curious, Mr. and Mrs. Smoody, somebody wants to answer this question for me. Mr. McDonald has custody of your two young grandsons, who I assume that you were close to because they lived with you in your house. And you
seem to live with us. The two boys came back to live with us.
From when to when?
December of 2021 until July of 2022. 6 months we had them.
Just a second, 2022. Was there a court proceeding?
No.
But then in July they went back with their father.
That's accurate.
And they've been with their father since?
Yes.
Okay, so the boys lived with you for 6, 7 months.
Right.
Was that an acrimonious transfer? That's what you meant when you said any employer that has gone through all that paperwork and red tape, as I have, will do anything to avoid it. The anything is firing the employee.
And Tina Smoody are accusing their former son-in-law, Dalton McDonald, of refusing to pay back loans.
Was that an acrimonious transfer, or was it something that you both...
What happened there was he called my husband to see if
No, don't tell me what he said to your husband.
Okay,
I will tell you then. He called me in December and asked me if I would please take the 2 boys. I told him, I will take them, Dalton, if you start making regular payments.
Oh, well, we're out of the money business now, sir. What you're saying is from 2017, when the children were in his custody, your daughter may have been there, but they were in joint custody, and then he maintained custody of the children, and during the time he maintained custody of the children, there was no question whatsoever that he was not paying you back money. He did not make any payments to you. Occasional here and there, we don't keep records. All of a sudden, now you have the boys with you. And then in July, he comes back and he takes the boys back. All I asked you was whether that was an acrimonious, which is an unpleasant, or a harmonious transfer of the children. Mr. Smoody was in July.
In July, it was acrimonious because at that point, he'd gotten a restraining order against me.
Against you?
Against me while we had the children. Because I sent him a letter saying that I wanted payment, and he went and got a restraining order against me because they took that as a threat.
I'd like to see the letter, please, Kevin. And this is what needs to happen moving forward.
That's correct.
You need to mail me $200 on the 1st of every month and $200 on the 15th, starting March 1st, 2022. If I do not get these payments on time, the following will happen, which is, you could say, I'm going to sue you, right? I'm going to sue you, but that's not what you say. You say, I will go to your boss and talk to them about garnishing your wages. Any employer that has gone through all the paperwork and red tape, as I have, will do anything to avoid it. So that's a threat. What you're saying is, I'm going to call your boss and tell him that I'm going to sue you, and then your boss is going to have to go through all the red tape of what it means to have a garnish on your salary. You have to go through accounting, and they have to deduct it. And no boss wants to do that, which is in effect say, so either you pay me or your boss is going to fire you. That's what you meant when you said, any employer that has gone through all that paperwork and red tape, as I have, will do anything to avoid it. The anything is firing the employee. The only thing that...
You can legally fire somebody.
Just a second. Whether you can legally fire them or not, that's what you were threatening. That's what that said. So we got an order of protection against you.
Correct.
And?
Then I didn't fight it because I didn't anticipate having any conversations or contact with him.
When you wrote this letter...
Yes.
You had the boys.
Yes.
Right. Not before.
No.
Not before. And he had the boys for some time alone.
3 months.
He had the boys for some time alone. Okay. Let's go back to my original question, which was, when the boys went back to their father, was it acrimonious or harmonious?
It was not good.
Well, so tell me your version of what happened.
The reason it was acrimonious is because he knew very well that once we got him, we put him on a strict schedule. 8 o'clock, brush your teeth, 8:15, pajamas, 8:30, bed.
Where was your daughter living at this time?
With us.
Yeah, just to say, if you're going to interrupt him because you want to get it out,
I'm sorry.
That's not going to be good for you.
She had a room at our house.
Just a second. So your daughter was living with you. So what you're telling me was your daughter was in the wind someplace.
Accurate.
Okay. You had her for a long time. He only had her for 5 years. And I can understand the sadness if your daughter is in the wind and not being responsible, sir. But that doesn't mean he has to shoulder all the burden. Right now, he's shouldering all the burden of supporting the 2 children, which I assume you're doing. They're living with you. And so are you working?
Yes, I am.
And he's working. Your daughter is not.
She's working 2 jobs.
She always has.
If she's working 2 jobs, why was she in a room?
She wasn't renting. She was living there free.
Okay, so now let's get back to this acrimonious transfer of the children back in July.
Dalton called me, or called the kids.
Okay, so he called the children.
After bedtime.
Okay.
Called my wife's phone 4 times. Ring, 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 ring. And she wouldn't answer because kids were in bed. And then he called my phone twice. The second time, I have an old flip phone. I flipped it, walked in, because now I hear the boys are awake. I let them talk to the boys. And then I took the phone back and I said some naughty things to him and hung it up.
What did you say naughty things to him for?
Because I was very angry at him. Can I use some swear words that I used when I told him?
No, I assume you used some terrible words.
Yeah,
but
I just told him, don't call me anymore.
Is there any reason that you discussed with your wife why she didn't answer the phone?
Because the boys were already in bed. He had done that before.
You already told me that you heard the boys, so you took the phone into his room.
After the phone calls, they woke up.
Is what you're telling me that the first time that he tried to talk to the boys, that you or your wife didn't answer the phone?
I think it probably happened once or twice prior, and then we told him, don't do it anymore.
Okay, fine.
And this time we were fed up.
Fine. So that's when he said, I'm coming to take the boys.
No.
Well, when did he say he was coming to take the boys?
Not until July. Jacqueline told us that Dalton was going to be taking the kids once they got out of school.
Okay, I'm going to take the pain out of this case, and I'm going to do it relatively quickly. I think, Mr. and Mrs. Smoody, that this lawsuit was very ill-advised. The defendant doesn't owe you any money. He doesn't owe you any money because if there was money owed, it was a marital debt, and it should have been taken up at the time of the divorce, listed as a marital debt, and then it could have been fixed by the judge who approved the divorce how much and by whom is owed money. You chose not to do that. It was only after a very acrimonious set of circumstances, roughly 5.5 years later, after this truck was purchased, that you chose to exercise any prerogatives with regard to a debt, except this letter, which threatens to go to his boss to get him fired if you don't stop making payments, and that was only after the 2 children came to live with you and were sort of overwhelmed. You have to understand, Mr. McDonald, who I think probably is trying, he's got the 2 boys. It got very complicated, but it's not a lawsuit, and I would make nice with him. He's got 2 children that you probably want to have some connection with, and this lawsuit certainly doesn't help that. Well, anyway, for all the reasons that I've stated, your lawsuit's dismissed. We're finished. Thank you.
Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
He owes us that money. He admitted he owed us the money.
I think the judge was absolutely correct.
He promised he was going to pay us the money back.
I don't owe Jerry any money.
Kids are irresponsible, have no sense of honor, duty, respect, responsibility, nothing.
Really should be a family thing, and maybe one day it can go back to it.
This is a great case that explains why a lot of cases in civil court have a statute of limitations before you can bring a certain kind of case, because here it was hard for us to understand why they would not have requested that money back earlier. So when you ask for it now, years down the line where so much has happened, court's not so likely to feed into that because you don't know what the real motivation is behind it.
I agree. I think it's really foolish of them, especially since their ex-son-in-law has total custody of these 2 little boys, for them not to maintain reasonable relationship with him.
It was a good showing, though, that if you do give money to your daughter, son, and their significant...
Here's how I made this. an incredible few days. Goodness. Now, the first thing I want to say is pieces of wood like that, they don't come around very often. I've worked with a few bent branches and crooks in the past, but nothing has ever compared to that. That was immaculate. Such a beautiful carving experience. This is probably one of the purest visual descriptions of what it means to work with a material, or work with grain, or work with a piece of wood. That whole time I felt like I was almost being told what to make, and I was just saying, okay, let's do that. There was something really instinctive that was happening between the piece of wood and myself. It was just a collaboration, like a collaboration of time, you know, with the tree taking many, many years to grow, and then 3 days of carving. It's such a nice exchange of time and energy. And that's really how I got into carving, or spoon carving, or green woodworking, was because I was unwell and I needed that release of energy. And the craft really helped me. And now with each thing I make, I feel like I'm almost giving back to the craft through sharing. Maybe I'll talk about my story and my relationship with carving and well-being another time, but it's really been the theme throughout all of my making and teaching. But the wood is just so beautiful. You can see the ripple on the back of the bowl here, and it features a little bit through the handle as well. Such a vivid watery ripple, it's like a river, and that effect in wood does have a name. It's got a very fancy name. It's called chatoyance, and it's a French word used to describe the marbly reflection of a cat's eye. I've never made a ladle this big before. What I loved about it was that it provided such a huge canvas to be expressive, but also to really play with carving and to make those long pirouette shavings that flow through it. Now the grain runs all the way through the handle, but there are elements of the handle where the grain changes direction, and it's very difficult to carve. And I found that when I was using my detail knife to get a nice finish on the top saddle just here, I was almost reading the grain like a isotopic map, if you like. And you can see how the growth rings begin to emerge as the grain runs down, and they begin to sort of pool as the grain runs higher. And you can kind of work out which way to go with the knife to work with the grain to get that nice finish. The bowl took a long time to carve as well. If you think about that as a cup, that's quite a hearty cup, let alone soup ladle. And I feel like I want to run into every restaurant and ask them if they've got any soup. I just present them with this. I'm really looking forward to our growing season here and growing veg again, and I can't wait to make that soup from the harvest, and I will save this ladle for it. Thank you for watching along. I really, really appreciate your encouragement and the comments and the subscribers, so thank you very much. It'd be quite interesting to know how you at home would interrogate that piece of wood. Would you make a ladle or something else? Comment below of what you'd do differently if you were me. If you do have any questions, do fire away in the comments. I do check them all and respond to them if I can. There will be many, many more videos coming up in the future, and I am really enjoying sharing my carving process and my workshop with you. Take care and see you next time. Bye bye.
Does not get better than that. Jeez.